Hello my friends, today in this video I am about to discuss about the bird photography with a digital DSLR. And in my previous videos you have seen that I have discussed about the bird photography with a Nikon B700, which is a long zoom compact camera. Today is the first part of this episode, that means the bird photography with a digital SLR camera. And I will discuss about the basic things in this episode, and the field work or field video will come on later. For bird photography you need a good DSLR camera, and according to your budget you can choose from Nikon or Canon series, and Sony cameras are now produced, those are also good, but Nikon and Canon cameras are widely available and service centers are available in India, and you can choose from Nikon 3000 series, 5000 series or 7000 series. Those are very budget friendly and great cameras. If your budget permits, then you can go for Nikon D500, which is a great camera and the best from a crop sensor camera till now. And from Canon I will recommend Canon 7D Mark II, or you can choose 80D, or if your budget is low then you can go for 77D, which is a good camera for bird photography. Regarding the lens for bird photography, you need at least more than 300mm of zoom. Use wisely, and there are few Nikon zoom lenses, 70 to 300, 55 to 300mm. 55 up to 300mm is a budget lens and made of plastic, and quality is not good. You can get bird photographs, but focusing is slower, not as quick as 70-300. And I will recommend you, if your budget permits, you can go for Nikon 70 to 300mm zoom lens. That is also a full frame lens, but it will work in crop sensor very well. And if your budget permits, then you can go for prime lens, that is Nikon 300mm f4 lens, which is a very good lens. Focusing is very good, and the picture quality it gives is amazing. And also you can think the VR system in 300mm lens. Both the lenses and 70 to 300mm lens comes with a VR, but 300mm prime lens, there is two options, either with VR or without VR. With VR lens is very costly and expensive. If your budget permits, then it is very good, you can take it. Otherwise you can go with the 300mm f4 non-VR lens. But there are some limitations of 300mm lens, f4 lens, and there are also few lenses in the mid range, that is 100 to 400 in the Canon series and 80 to 400 in Nikon series. Those zoom lenses are good for all purpose, but not strictly for bird photography. Wildlife photography you can do with that lens. And for Canon it is good, 100 to 400mm zoom lens is very good, you can take it. And for Nikon I will recommend 200 to 500, which I personally use, and I prefer this lens. The focusing is good and the picture quality is amazing. It has nano coating in the lenses, and so the picture sharpness is just astounding. And if your budget permits, then you can prime lens, which is very expensive, good for bird photography. Photography you have to know some basics. If you know the basics of the digital camera, how it takes a picture, and we have to know the exposure and I think you know that the Explorer is controlled by three things, three variables. Those are aperture, shutter speed and ISO. If you increase or decrease any of the variable, then other two are affected, and you have to know the f-stop also, and that is a separate thing I have to discuss in a separate video. So my friends, now I have already discussed about the different camera bodies from Nikon and Canon make, and also the lenses that are required for bird photography with a digital SLR. Now I will discuss briefly about the different settings that are used for bird photography, and these settings are not hard and fast rule. You can modify it, you can change, or you can use your own settings and experiment whether that is right or not. Usually for shooting the birds that are not flying or that are not moving and sitting on the perch, I use a shutter speed of more than 1/500 second, and when the light is low I go up to 1/250 second, not lesser than that. And for flying birds I usually use 1/1500 seconds or 1/2000 seconds, because for freezing the flying birds high shutter speed is required, but you have to need also good light. Otherwise if you bump up the ISO, then picture will be grainy and there will be noise. And for the ISO part I always use auto ISO feature. That is a very good feature or excellent feature in the Nikon bodies. I don't know whether a similar thing is available in Canon bodies or not. And in case of aperture priority mode also you can use that auto ISO feature. I usually use the manual mode. In that manual mode also I can use auto ISO. And regarding aperture value, I use the maximum aperture available for a lens. In case of 200 to 500, maximum aperture is 5.6. I have seen that 5.6 aperture gives me sharp pictures, but the depth of field is very narrow. So if I have to increase the depth of field so that the whole of the body of the bird is in focus, I have to close one stop. That is, I have to keep the aperture value to 6.3. Otherwise in the most of the cases I use aperture value of 5.6. I usually don't go beyond 6.3. And regarding the lens 300mm f4 prime lens, f4 is sharp but the depth of field is very narrow. So you will see that either the head of the bird or the eye of the bird is in perfect focus, but not the whole of the body, and it appears that it is not a good picture. So if you want to keep the bird in perfect focus, you have to close down one stop. That is, you can use f5.6. and if you use a teleconverter, use it with a 1.4 Nikon teleconverter. That is the best teleconverter available. You can use also third-party manufacturer converter, but you have to compromise with the sharpness of the picture to some extent. And I don't use usually 1.4 teleconverter. I use 300mm f4 prime lens. That model is without VR, and this lens I use usually for flying birds, for freezing the action. And so I keep that time the shutter speed is very high. That time my shutter speed will be more than 1/2000 second or more than 1/1500 second. So if you use 300mm f4 prime lens, then and also you use a high shutter speed, you need not worry about the blurry picture, because that will freeze the motion or action. So you need not worry about the blurry picture or about the vibration. And regarding other lenses, you can use also third-party manufacturer lens from Sigma or Tamron. Those are also good options, but focusing I think is not so quick as Nikon prime lens. Though 200 to 500 millimeter lens quality wise is very good, but sometimes it is slower in focusing the flying birds or moving birds. When the bird is perched on a tree, then there is no problem. Otherwise, if you use Nikon D500 body, then also the. So friends, now we have learned a few things about the bird photography with a digital DSLR, and now I will take you to the field, and I will take you to the Banglajodi wetland, and you will see how I shoot birds. I will show you the settings, and also you will get a good view of those birds. A large amount of migratory birds come there during the months, winter months, December, January and February. If you wish to come there, you can come, and I have given the contact number of the guide and also the resort where you can stay and take good photographs of birds. So let's go. Hello my friends, I am now at Banglajodi wetland. I have reached the jetty from where the boat journey starts, and today is Friday and 1st March 2019. This is the backdrop. You can see there are canals through which the boats will go and take the tourist to the wetland, and there you can find birds. He is our guide, Rusia ji. Namaste Billy. He will show us the birds and take us to the wetland of Banglajodi. You can see the boat is coming. This is my setting. You can see. This is my setting. You can see. Budget is set to 6.3 and set as 1/2000 on ISO. You can see lot of egrets and also painted stalks. The painted stalks are beautiful, and also black-headed ibis. This area is very nice because there is a large congregation of birds.
आप बात करेंगे?
हाँ करेंगे.
हाँ करेंगे. चल फोन कर बैठ बीच में फोन कर.
You can see a lot of glossy ibis. You can see a lot of glossy ibis. Purple heron is ready for fish. Bird not migratory. This is red wattle lapwing. You can see red wattle lapwing.